Showed you how to make things move around using a variable, how to use your mouse to move things around. Let's say maybe you want to use some keyboard input. Okay, I'm going to show you how to access some of those variables. Let me start with a draw function. Okay, and I want to print some stuff to the console window down there. And what I am going to print. Let me start with talking about something called key, okay, and that will print out whatever I just printed on my keyboard. Of course, I have to click in this window to activate it, but now whatever I type down there comes up over there. That's okay for text, but if I want to use something like the arrow keys, I get this weirdness, and some of the special symbols and stuff. You also, it's not good for doing like a comparison, like let's say I want to say if something, let me just turn that off for a second, and I'm going to I'll just drag that in there. And restart there. It's not printing anything at the moment, right? But if I make whatever's in there true, then I'll get my value, right? So if I try and do a comparison in there, right, let me just if key, whoops, copy. If key equals F, let me see, and I type an F. Hang on, let me just lose this down. I'm going to cut that down here, there, and I'm going to type an F. There's my F. If key equals F, do something, right, and nothing's happening, right? Even though I'm typing F, nothing's happening, right? So you can't compare the input value of the built-in key function as if it's a string, even though it seems to print out like one or whatever. But to do that, you'd have to convert it to two string like that, and now the comparison seems to work. Okay, so that's okay, like if you just want to make something where people can type in some text or their name or something, so you can use key to string, no problem. But like I said, you can't use arrow keys and things like that, so there's another way. Let's see, let me go back to just print line here. Print line. Inside there, I'm going to type the key code. So now instead of getting a value there, I'm getting numerical value. So I can go like, I'm going to make sure I click in this window, so I'm not just typing more stuff over here. And now I can, if I type 1, observe, do observe, I'm going to say, I press and then release. Then I actually shows the last entered value and everything. For some reason, you get a 0 in the sequence. Okay, while you're holding the key. But there's ways to get around that. As I was saying, if I go now 1 equals 49 on here. Okay, 1. 2 is 50, 3 is 51, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 being 57. Now 0, which is next in line on my keyboard, goes back to 48. Okay, so 0 is less than 1, so it's 48. Back to 1, 49, you see, up the sequence. Same on your keyboard, like if I'm typing Q, the letters starting from the left on my top on my keyboard, Q, W, E, R, T, Y, you can see that's out of order, that's your QWERTY keyboard, like that, right? However, if I type A, I got a 65, B is 66, C is 67. You can see that those are consecutive in there. So there is a kind of reason behind all that. It actually kind of goes back for, well, I mean, as far as programming goes, A, B should be whatever greater than A, and C should be greater than B. As far as a sequence of letters in your memory, right? But why is it a Q, W, E, R, T on your keyboard instead of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Because that goes all the way back to when they invented the typewriter, right? And they were these mechanical objects, and when people tried to use them over extended periods, they found that letters like A and stuff, which were frequently used letters, were all the way up in the corner, and so you'd get really fatigued having to use your little fingers to type a lot of frequent letters. So then the typewriter manufacturers made it so, okay, well, we'll cluster all the more frequently used typewriters letters more in the center, and so that it would be much easier to get to them. And that was a known as the DVORAK arrangement of typewriter, right? And which was okay, except your speed typers, people that got really good at it and just could type really fast, would find that their typewriters would jam frequently. Then they came out with the QWERTY, which you're familiar with today, keyboard. Which basically kind of spread things out a bit so that they weren't as fatiguing, but they didn't jam their particular design of typewriters. And that is what has stuck today. There actually are people around that still, you can get a Dvorak typewriter. Also note on your keyboard, for instance, if I type a 1, and if you have an extended keyboard that also has the other numbers over on the right-hand side there, see, I get a 49 on the 1, but if I type the other one, I get a 97, you see. So, if someone also, maybe someone has a Japanese keyboard or something else, then you can do different layouts of keyboards, just using the numbers instead, So, of course, many people will use A, S, D, and W for left, A being left, D being right, S being down, W being up, for left-handers. Whereas right-handers may want to use the arrow keys, over on the other side on the keyboard there, right? So that's how to access your key codes, right? So clearly, I can use those to try and move something around on the board now. So I'm just going to cut that out of there and put it here for right now. And so why don't I just draw something real quick. I'm going to put an ellipse in there, and you made a point before. Same thing. I'll say 200 for the X and Y, and then also give it a width and a height, and there's my ellipse. Difference between an ellipse and a point is I can change the width and height independently, and get an oval, right? As you can see, I'm getting some smearing. I haven't added a background in my draw function yet, so let's try to get that happening there. And let's put a 255 in there. Okay, great. So got my ellipse in there. I wanted to get it moving, so let's get some variables in there for the ball. X equals 200, right? And then on the next line, I will just drag a copy of that. Whoops. Highlight and control drag a copy of that. There we go. And here, I can use my ball X down here and my ball Y there. Yes. So now these values can be updated. Yes. Ball X plus plus. And I have an animated ball, right? So instead I want to make some kind of if statement, if whatever, whatever. So if I said if 1, that equates to if true, yes, and paste that in there, restart, I have an animated ball. If I made it if 0, and hit restart, it's not going to move at all. Okay, so I wanted to do some comparison using my keyboard input, right? So I can, if I need a reference, I can go back to my printout key code here, and of course, if I put it inside the draw function, it's going to print over and over and over. It doesn't really matter. I can kind of stick it out here, and I'll just have the 1 for quickie reference to grab any number that I have typed into the keyboard. Right? No, it's not going to update. Of course, unless there, unless I hit. Let me put that right back where it was. Paste key code. I can type a value and hit restart and access it. You see, because the last pressed key is stored in the computer's memory there, or print it out a bunch of times. It doesn't matter how many times I'm printing it out. I can see the value there. It's fine. Got to my key code. I want to know if my key code, right, which is a numerical value, if my key code equals some value, right? And let me just get that out of the way there for a second. And so to quickly find out what something is, I can, let's say I want to use the left and right arrow keys, right? I can just click over there and type my left arrow and see that the value is 37. Great. So if key code equals 37, actually I think it's the right one I want. Let's find out. Here, if key code equals 37. Yep, right. No, that's correct. Left. But I want to go minus for that, I believe. And also, it's just going to keep going, until I type something else down here. So I have to use my, you're familiar with using mouse. Mouse is pressed, built-in variable. There's also, of course, if key is pressed, built-in. So I can use that if key is pressed and key code equals whatever I want it to be. Let me restart here. Okay, so it's not going to move until I press my left arrow key. See? So for the right, obviously, I can now take this whole statement here and copy that onto a new line there. So, of course, I want different. If I'm going to click here and check what my right arrow key is, 39, no problemo. We're going to change that to 39. And over here, we will add instead of subtract. Okay, so there we go. I have keyboards movement in both directions. Okay, great. So same thing with the X and Y. Okay, I can copy all of that and say if key code equals, what is my up, 38 here, 38, then the Y is that, and what is my down is 40. 40, ball Y. There, did I get that right on the up and down? Yeah.